18th, 2026, and the time is 3:28 p.m. This Oregon Mortuary and Cemetery Board now will come to order. The staff in charge of recording, if you have not done so, please start recording. Staff for roll call, in charge of roll call, please commence with roll call, and we're asking Vice President Ruge to do that.
President Gaskell.
Here.
This is Vice President Canizares for the roll call. Secretary Treasurer, Professional Member Porter.
Present.
Public Member Harris.
Present.
Professional Member Collins.
Present.
Professional Member Johnson.
Here.
Professional Member Leader.
Present.
Public Member Nagus.
Here.
Professional Member Houston.
Here.
And for the record, we have a couple of guests amongst us, Cindy, Colleen, and Doris, and Deborah. We are acknowledging you and welcome. That is a roll call, President Gaskell.
Thank you, Vice President Ruge. We will now reopen this public meeting. The purpose of this meeting is to make a decision about a potential performance evaluation for the board's executive director. As chair, I exercise my power to set an agenda which will be scheduled, which I will schedule a public meeting at a future date to discuss the executive director's performance. That future meeting will include an executive session held pursuant of ORS 192-660-2I for the purpose of discussing the performance evaluation of the executive director. That discussion will take place in executive session unless the executive director requests an open session. I understand that Sherry Lauer from DAS HR is prepared to give the board an overview of performance evaluations options, what they are now. We will then discuss the actual performance evaluation of the executive director at a future executive session. Sherry, would you like to provide us with some information about the performance evaluation?
Yes, I will. And I'm going to share a draft on my screen. But before I share that, a couple of things I want to point out. In the past several years, the agency has done an Agency 360, which included staff, stakeholders, and a variety of business partners. Oftentimes, that can be difficult to ascertain some of the internal performance or overall performance. So I am making a recommendation that we do a board-only evidence-oriented performance evaluation, and that is really focused on the performance expectation of an ED, and that we wouldn't do a 360 this time. So let me show you what I mean. So my recommendation is to take the position expectations, the board's mission, and the governor's expectations. And this would not be in a paper format. I would build this in an automated format using Microsoft Forms, which is how you typically completed these in the past. I will can send this out separately. I want to focus on, in this particular recommendation, it's a 1 through 5 rating scale with an NA for insufficient information. This suggested recommended evaluation is really based on the core responsibilities of an executive director. And so each focus area is really honed in on the work, but the effectiveness of the work as well. But also my goal would be to have evidence or brief notes, comments for each section. So if there were illustrative examples of where things are going really well or where improvement opportunities would need to be made, that gives an opportunity for board members to capture that. So the first section, agency mission, regulatory performance, and public protection. The second section is governor's expectations and statewide accountability. That's really focused on the 11 expectations that the governor's office has. The third section is leadership, workforce, and organizational management. That's really about managing staff internally. The next session is relationship with and accountability to the board. So you can see for both our chair and vice chair, the questions are more specific to the expectations of an executive director. So these are much different than what you're used to seeing in a 360. The next section is financial, administrative, and operational stewardship. That's really to capture kind of the budgetary, fiscal, and legal responsibilities of the agency. This next section, legal, ethical, risk management, and management responsibilities. So this is kind of the things that don't fit into the other areas and how risk is managed within the agency. The next section is strategic leadership, judgment, and execution. Again, you'll see these questions really more geared towards the responsibilities of an ED. And then the final two sections, communication, stakeholder relations, and agency credibility. And the final section is executive accountability, trust, and future leadership capacity. And so this is much different than what you're used to seeing in terms of the 360 evaluation, and really gets to the core of the responsibilities of an executive director. What my recommendation is to schedule some time with your board president to go over the questions in detail, see if there was any adjustments that need to be made, and then look at implementing it similarly to the way we do the 360s. I would manage the process. I would build this in a Microsoft form so you could electronically capture it all. And I would get all of the data and then create a report with all of that information to be shared then in another board meeting. And we are recommending not to do a 360. We don't believe that that would capture the overall performance feedback pieces that we're receiving or that folks want to give.
Thank you, Sherry, and I'm looking forward to us meeting. Is there anybody on the board, not the public, but the board, that may have some questions? I'm not seeing any questions. So if there's no discussion, then if there is no further Oregon Mortuary and Cemetery Board business to discuss, this Oregon Mortuary and Cemetery Board public session is adjourned. The time is 3:37. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, public, for being here. We'll certainly have more opportunity for you to show up to these meetings that are much different than this, so you can have time to share and speak also about any topic you're concerned of in our quarterly meetings, which will be in October. That being said, meeting adjourned, and thank you all for your time. Bye.
Thank you.